Once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Belen Jesuit Hall of Fame induction ceremony here at the Intercontinental Hotel. We will begin our evening with an invocation by the Most Reverend Archbishop Thomas Wensky.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. Let us begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the years of Catholic education represented here and represented throughout the years at Belen College Prep. We thank you for the dedication of the Jesuit fathers and their teachers in forming men for others. Tonight, we also thank you for those who will be inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame. And we remember those who will be inducted posthumously because they have gone to their heavenly reward. And most recently, that was Rosa de la Cruz. And so we remember her, especially before the Lord, and ask the Lord to grant her the fullness of eternal life and recompense for her great dedication in this life. We ask you to bless us tonight, each one of us. We ask you to bless the food that we'll share, the hands that have prepared it for us. But in a special way, we ask you to bless our conversation this evening, that our conversations tonight will draw us closer to one another, and at the same time be pleasing to you and advance your greater glory. And so we pray together, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. In Polish, they say smacznego, and in English, that's translated as bon appetit. But since I have the microphone and they don't have a hook to drag me away yet, and one of the inductees is Coleman Carroll, the first Archbishop of Miami. I'm the fourth Archbishop of Miami, and I think I'm invited here because you're honoring the first Archbishop of Miami. And of course, he did wonderful things for the Cuban community in those early years. Monsignor Walsh worked for him. Many times people talk about Monsignor Walsh. And last night I had a dream that I was visiting Monsignor Walsh in the hospital. And when I woke up, I said, he's dead already. But, and Monsignor Walsh was a close friend of mine, but he worked for Archbishop Carroll. And so, you know, he did what he did because Archbishop Carroll let him do it and told him to do it. And so the honor to Archbishop Carroll is certainly worthy. But I want to tell you a story about Archbishop Carroll that has nothing to do with Belen. But it's something I heard for many, many years since I was a seminarian. And a few years ago, before he died, I had the occasion to meet Don Shula. And so I said to him, I said, Coach, I heard this story. Is it true? And so he said, yes, and he gave me some more details about it. And it was about when Don Shula and Joe Robbie had a fight. And it was at a dinner that they were both at with their wives, and Don Shula's wife was speaking. And Joe Robbie, who had a few too many, said something like, I'll clean it up, but he said, tell your wife to shut up and sit down. Now, he was a little bit more colorful than that. And so Shula equally colorfully said, if you open your mouth, I'll knock your teeth out. And after that, they stopped talking to each other. And then in Miami, on the sports pages, there were rumors about this falling out between the owner of the Dolphins and Coach Shula. And so the rumor was that maybe Shula might walk and leave Miami. Archbishop Carroll found out about this. And so Archbishop Carroll called up Joe Robbie. Joe Robbie was a good Catholic, as was Don Shula. And he said, Joe, I need to see you in my office. I need to see you at this time in this place. And he said, okay, Archbishop. Then he called up Don Shula and said, Don, I need to see you in my office. And so at the appointed time, Archbishop Carroll had priests stationed, and when Robbie showed up, they took him and brought him to a room, and when Shula showed up, they took him and brought him to another room. In the meantime, Archbishop Coleman Carroll called a press conference. And when an archbishop calls a press conference, everybody shows up. They don't know why, but they show up. And so they were all there, and Carroll went out into the conference room and looked at the journalists there and their TV cameras and their microphones, and he says, are you all here? And they said, yes, Archbishop. And he said, sat down, and he said, bring him in. And so from one door came in Joe Robbie, and from the other door came in Don Shula. And they didn't know the other one was there, and they looked at each other and they were shocked. And Archbishop Carroll looked at them and said, shake hands. And he said, shake hands, I said. And they looked at each other and they shook hands. And then Coleman Carroll got up and said, did you get that? He said, press conference is over, and he walked away. So that's how the first Archbishop of Miami saved the Miami Dolphins and made possible the perfect season. So among the many well-deserved people you are honoring, there is no one more deserving than Archbishop Coleman Carroll. Thank you.
Thank you, Archbishop Wensky. It's a pleasure to be here tonight on such a momentous occasion and to welcome our honored guests. We would like to acknowledge our sponsors before we begin: Regis HR, Regis RO, JP Morgan Private Bank, CGI, Momentum Consulting, Rainey Foundation, and Manny Díaz for helping make this event possible. At this time, I'd like to welcome our president, Father Willie Garcia Tuñón, from the class of 1987 to the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Belen heads towards celebrating its 170 years of continuous education, it's impossible not to think of the countless people who have contributed to providing a Jesuit education to so many young men. A Belen Jesuit is a testament of extraordinary commitment, and it is a true labor of love. This testament to the work we do at the school is showcased by the commitment and service that many of you do in our community and beyond. Tonight, we gather as a family to honor some of the extraordinary people who have helped shape the school into what it is today. We celebrate their mark on the Belen community. Each year, the Hall of Fame will continue to grow and include many others who have contributed both directly and indirectly to the formation of the young men of Belen. I look forward to the future with excitement because I assure you the future is bright. Thank you for being here tonight. Please enjoy your meal, and the program will resume very soon. Good night.
Although dinner is still being served to many, we would like to go ahead and begin with our program at this time. Let me begin by saying that after each presentation, a photographer will be taking an official picture of each inductee. We ask that only the inductee or the designated representative approach the stage at that time. At the end of the program, after we take the class picture, our photographers will be available to take group pictures. Now join me in welcoming Father Willie Garcia Tuñón and the chairman of the Belen Hall of Fame Committee, Mr. Peter Montadas, from the class of 1976 to the stage. Many here have had the distinct pleasure of knowing several of the individuals being inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. Some are here with us tonight, while others remained ingrained in our memory. However, one thing is certain, they have all had a lasting impact on Belen Jesuit. Our first inductee answered God's call to be a Catholic priest and served faithfully for 47 years, including 18 as the first Bishop of Miami. Please turn your attention to the screens to learn more about Archbishop Coleman Carroll.
Coleman Francis Carroll was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on February 9, 1905. He was appointed Auxiliary Bishop of Pittsburgh in 1953. In 1958, the Diocese of Miami was created, and Bishop Carroll was installed as Miami's first bishop on October 7, 1958. Considered the builder of the diocese, he oversaw its tremendous expansion. In 1959, the Jesuits, serving in Cuba, saw the writing on the wall and began to make preparations to relocate and set their eyes on South Florida. In 1960, a delegation led by Father Richard Chisholm met with Bishop Carroll and subsequently received formal approval to establish a branch of the Colegio de Belen in Miami. In 1961, 26 Jesuits, forcibly expelled by the Cuban government, boarded the Covadonga and left Cuba. Ultimately, they re-established the school in Miami within a few months of arriving. Bishop Carroll provided guidance and support during those early years of Belen Jesuit. His leadership would be pivotal to the success of the Jesuits, and his admiration of the Society of Jesus and their educational service was unwavering. In 1968, the ecclesiastical province of Miami was established, and Bishop Carroll was elevated to become the first Archbishop of Miami. During his tenure, he supported Belen's growth from occupying a small space at the Jesu School to the campus in Little Havana, and the eventual move to our current location. Archbishop Carroll attended graduation ceremonies, celebrated Mass numerous times at the school, and gave generously of his time, all while also dedicating himself and resources to the Cuban exiles in Miami. Archbishop Carroll died on July 26, 1977, and will always be remembered as a friend and supporter of Belen. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Representing Archbishop Coleman Carroll this evening is the Most Reverend Archbishop Thomas Wensky. Our next inductee is known worldwide for his innovation and God-given talent in the operating room. Let's take a moment to learn about Dr. Eduardo Rodríguez from the class of 1984.
Eduardo Rodríguez was born on October 13, 1966 in Miami, Florida, and is a proud member of the Belen Jesuit class of 1984. He has 3 brothers, all of whom attended Belen. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Neurobiology in 1988 from the University of Florida and a DDS degree from New York University in 1992. In 1997, he served his residency at Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University. In 1997, he married the love of his life, Ana Maria, and they live in New York City. In 1999, he earned his MD from Virginia Commonwealth University and completed his residency at Johns Hopkins Hospital in 2003. Dr. Rodríguez is a world-renowned surgeon and chair of the Hans-Jörg Weiss Department of Plastic Surgery at NYU Langone Health in New York City. His work led to several distinguished accolades, such as being named Teacher of the Year Award 2007 and 2018, Manos que Cambian el Mundo Award, Ellis Island Medal of Honor 2018, and Master Clinician Honor Dean's Honors Day 2018. His innovation in the operating room led him to complete the first face and double hand transplant in 2020 and the first face and whole eye transplant in 2023. His procedure has significantly advanced transplant medicine and will help patients who have suffered severe trauma. In addition to his work at NYU Langone Health, he has participated in several medical missions. In 2019, Dr. Rodríguez returned to Belen as the commencement speaker and continues to serve as a mentor to students and alumni. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Our next honoree was among the first Jesuits to serve at Belen Jesuit and was instrumental in helping the school get established in Miami. Father Francisco Pérez-Lerena, S.J., from the class of 1944, was a wonderful man who gave his heart to the Lord and to his school. Join me in watching his tribute video.
Francisco Pérez-Lerena was born in Havana, Cuba on December 27, 1924. He graduated from El Colegio de Belen in 1944 and was ordained on July 26, 1958. He was amongst the first Jesuits to serve at Belen Jesuit and was instrumental in helping the school get established. He taught from 1961 to 1963. Before moving to the Dominican Republic, where he served for over a decade, including as the provincial of the Jesuit province of the Antilles from 1974 to 1979. In 1979, Father Pérez-Lerena returned to Belen to teach, and from 1980 to 1983 served as rector and superior of the Miami Jesuits. During this time, he was very involved in establishing the Ramon Guiterres Memorial Library and fundraising for the construction of the campus in West Miami-Dade. Among his greatest achievements was establishing Regis House in 1984. Led by his passion for helping those struggling with addiction, he set out to create a center for drug prevention and treatment. Father Pérez-Lerena brought together individuals from various backgrounds, encouraging them to collaborate and care for the well-being of the community. His remarkable life was dedicated to living the gospel, educating the future, and helping others. He was a scholar and a type of leader who led by example and taught us how to be better and do better. He died on July 25, 2017. Just one day short of celebrating 59 years as a priest. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Accepting on Father Pérez-Lerena's behalf, please welcome Father Alberto Garcia to the stage. Our next inductee left his mark at Belen not only as a student, but as an alumnus who helped Father Dortaduque establish the Alumni Association and worked tirelessly as a volunteer at the Alumni Office. Please turn your attention to the screens to learn about Pablo Carreño from the class of 1942.
Pablo A. Carreño Camps was born in Havana, Cuba on April 14, 1925. As a student at El Colegio de Belen, he was a stellar athlete and a member of the basketball, baseball, track and field, and volleyball teams. He is a proud member of the class of 1942. He went on to receive a degree in agricultural engineering from the University of Havana and a master's degree in chemistry from LSU and a degree in business administration from the Alexander Hamilton Institute. Pablo married Josefina Lopez Oña in 1947 and had 2 sons and a daughter. Due to the communist regime, Pablo and Josefina sent their sons to the United States in 1960. In 1961, Pablo fled Cuba to the U.S. to work, and his wife and daughter remained in Havana until the whole family was reunited in Miami in 1979. He instilled in his children a sense of duty to their work and a clear understanding of what is right and wrong. Pablo worked in the sugar industry for decades and was well respected by his peers. His passion, however, was his family and love of Belen. As a Belemita, Pablo volunteered regularly in the alumni office and was instrumental, along with Father Dortaduque, in starting the Alumni Association in Miami. He was also very close with Father Pérez-Lerena and supported him greatly at Regis House. In 2008, Pablo was inducted into the Belen Sports Hall of Fame. Pablo passed away on July 6, 2020. His Belen legacy continues through his grandsons and great-grandsons as they live the motto of being men for others. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Accepting on behalf of Pablo Carreño are his great-grandsons, Javier Ignacio from the class of 2026 and Pablo Andrés from the class of 2021. first couple to be inducted this evening helped to shape Miami's cultural arts scene and have supported Belen Jesuits' growth significantly. Let's learn more about Carlos and Rosa de la Cruz.
Carlos M. and Rosa de la Cruz were born in Havana, Cuba, and were married in 1962. They lived in New York City and Madrid, Spain, before moving to Miami in 1975. As a successful businessman, Carlos was the founder and chairman of CC1 Companies, a privately held bottling and distribution company that distributes Coca-Cola in Puerto Rico and other beverages throughout the Caribbean. Rosa served as the company's director and treasurer. Rosa's drive and philanthropic vision helped to establish Miami as a cultural destination. Their love of art and their shared belief that it should be appreciated led them to open the De La Cruz Collection in 2009. The center is a 30,000 square foot private museum in Miami's Design District. They have been continually included in the list of top collectors by Art News and ArtNet for the last 20 years. They have 5 children, including son Carlos Jr. from the class of '81, 17 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Their generosity helped build the Belen Stadium in 2003, which was named after them, De La Cruz Stadium. The improved athletic facilities contributed greatly to the development of the athletic program at Belen Jesuit. Carlos has also served the Belen community as a longtime member of the Board of Advisors, and together with Rosa, has contributed significantly over the decades to assist the school's growth. Carlos and Rosa served many charitable organizations for several decades, sat on multiple boards, and led coalitions for change in the community. Rosa passed away on February 25th, 2024, and her legacy will be remembered by so many she helped in the community. They are inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
It's a great honor to have Carlos. Please join us on stage at this time. The next inductee embodies our ordination principles to the fullest and was known as a scriptural scholar and holy person. Let's learn about the life of Bishop Enrique San Pedro from the class of 1941.
Enrique San Pedro was born in Havana, Cuba on March 9, 1926, and grew up in a loving household with his parents and 3 siblings. He studied at the Colegio de Belen, where shortly before graduating, he entered the Jesuit novitiate on December 7, 1941. San Pedro spoke 7 languages and worked as a missionary in the Philippines, Vietnam, China, and the Dominican Republic. He was ordained a priest on March 18, 1957. From 1977 to 1986, he served on and off at the parish of St. Raymond in Miami and taught at Belen Jesuit. He taught theology and worked as a spiritual counselor. He was sent as a missionary to Suàrez, Fiji, and back to the Dominican Republic before being ordained a bishop at the hands of Pope St. John Paul II, and appointed the first Hispanic auxiliary bishop of the Diocese of Galveston-Houston on April 1, 1986. He later became the 4th Bishop of Brownsville on November 30, 1991. In 1993, Bishop San Pedro was part of a bishop's delegation to address the United Nations on the plight of refugees. He was known as a scriptural scholar and holy man. After 37 years as a priest, Bishop San Pedro died on July 17, 1994. In Brownsville, Texas, the diocese named its homeless shelter after him, the Bishop Enrique San Pedro Ozanan Center. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Accepting on behalf of Bishop San Pedro are his siblings, Francisco Javier San Pedro from the class of 1959 and Berta San Pedro. Please join us on stage. The next couple being inducted have supported the school faithfully as parents and grandparents, and he has been an active alumnus for decades. Their passion and dedication to their faith and community are an example to many. Please join me in learning more about Andrés Jiménez from the class of 1960, and of course his wife, Lucila.
Andrés and Lucila Jiménez were born in Cuba and left their country because of the communist regime in the early 60s. Andrés graduated from El Colegio de Belen in 1960, and Lucila finished high school at Mary Immaculate High School in Key West, Florida in 1964. They met in 1959 at the Colegio de Belen, thanks in part to the help of a few Jesuits who thought they would make a good couple. They were right. In 1967, they got married and had 3 children. Andrés from the class of 1987, Javier from the class of 1989, and Cristina, who went to Carrollton. They are also the proud grandparents to 7, 2 of whom are Belen alumni. They each had successful professions. Andrés was a psychiatrist, and Lucila was the owner of Sweet Art by Lucila. But their passion was spending time with their family and volunteering at Belen. Over 5 decades, Andrés has been a steadfast and dedicated alumni delegate. He has served on the alumni board and has supported the schools faithfully as an active alumnus, parent, and grandfather. Lucila, too, has proven to be a Belemita at heart. Her connection to the Jesuits stems from her childhood and has been the cornerstone of her formation. Before her sons started at Belen, she was at work helping the Alumni Association. In 1981, she helped organize the first gala and spearheaded fundraising efforts for years. From active parents to hyperactive grandparents, Andrés and Lucila have led the way in showing what it means to give of your time and treasure generously. From donating money to support the growth of the school and financial assistance to starting the Grandparents Club in 2016, to being the first to volunteer at Tombola, the Jiménezes exemplify the Magus. Most recently, they also established the Guardian Angel Endowment Fund to help families in the Belen community in distress. They are inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Our next inductee is a very proud alumnus from the class of 1973 and is the definition of a Belemita. He truly loves his alma mater and has been involved in many aspects of the school and alumni association for over 5 decades. And if I might add, he looks exactly the same. Let's hear all about Francisco Paco Ruiz.
Francisco Nicolas Ruiz was born in Havana, Cuba on July 10, 1955. He arrived in Miami on July 23, 1961, with his 7-year-old sister Alicia, and was later joined by his parents and younger sisters, Martha and Lourdes. His academic journey included 12 years of Jesuit education at Jesuit School and Belen Jesuit. At Belen, he excelled academically and demonstrated leadership as the class president from 10th through 12th grade. Francisco, better known to the Belen community as Paco, represented the Wolverines in basketball, cross country, and track and field. In 1973, he graduated from Belen and was recognized by the faculty as the Student of the Year. Continuing his academic pursuits, Francisco graduated from FIU in 1976 with a bachelor's degree in business administration. In 1976, Paco married his high school sweetheart, Barbara. They have 3 children, Frankie from the class of 1996, Barbie, who graduated from Lourdes, and Nicholas from the class of 2011. They also have 3 grandchildren, Paulina, Matias, and Mila. Paco has always had a deep connection with his faith and actively participates in various Catholic apostolic ministries. From teaching CCD to teaching at Belen to coaching to his charitable work, Paco embodies what it means to be a man for others. His involvement in fundraising activities helped to elevate the sports facilities on campus, and his dedication and involvement in the Alumni Association has left an indelible mark. In 2007, Paco was pivotal in the establishment of the Belen Alumni Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2008, he was inducted into it. He bleeds blue and gold and has lived his life according to the values instilled in him at Belen, to give all of oneself for the betterment of those around you. Paco is currently the director of the Lil Abner Foundation, a not-for-profit organization serving low-income families. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Belen was built on the shoulders of giants, and one of those giants was Father Richard Chisholm from the class of 1925. Let's learn more about his life and contributions as an extraordinary Jesuit priest.
Richard Chadbourne Chisholm was born in Havana, Cuba on December 2, 1908, graduated from El Colegio de Belen in 1925, and was president of the Agrupación Católica Universitaria from 1931 to 1932. Richard's time at Belen molded his future and nurtured his vocation and lifelong dedication to the Society of Jesus. He entered the Society of Jesus in 1932 in Belgium. He spent World War II assigned to San Sebastian, Spain, then did his regency at El Colegio de Belen. He was ordained in Spain on July 29, 1943. After his ordination, Father Chisholm returned to El Colegio de Belen, oversaw the construction of the Colegio de San Ignacio de Loyola in Puerto Rico, and prepared the Colegio de Belen's centennial celebrations. In 1961, with a letter from the Jesuit Superior General in Rome, he traveled to the Jesuit provinces in North America to request financial assistance to reestablish Belen in the United States. Within a few months of the Jesuits arriving in Miami, Belen Jesuit opened its doors, and Father Chisholm continued raising community funds. He served as rector from 1961 to 1962. In 1962, Belen purchased a property in Little Havana and opened the school in September. Father Chisholm went on to serve in Rome for nearly a decade, until returning to Belen as the Director of Development from 1978 to 1992. Upon his arrival in Miami, Father Chisholm went to work and was instrumental in securing donations and funding for the land and construction of our current campus. His efforts led to its completion, and the West Dade campus opened in September of 1981. Father Richard Chisholm passed away on January 9, 1992. Today, his legacy continues through his nephews, grandnephews, and great-grandnephews as they uphold the mission of Belen Jesuit. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame Class of 2024.
Accepting on behalf of Father Chisholm are his nephews Robert and Alfred, who will be joining us on stage. Not only was our next inductee the mayor of the city of Miami, he also happened to be voted Mr. Belen his senior year. His contributions to our city, community, and to Belen have been truly inspirational. Let's learn more about Manuel Díaz from the class of 1973.
Manuel Manny Díaz was born in Havana, Cuba on November 5, 1954. Manny came to Miami with his mother Elisa in 1961, leaving his father Manuel Sr. in jail as a political prisoner of the communist regime in Cuba. In 1967, Manny entered Belen Jesuit in Little Havana as a 7th grader. He shined on and off the field. Academically, he was a member of the Honor Society and Beta Club. Athletically, he was a varsity sports letterman and captain of the basketball, baseball, and football teams, and Belen's most valuable athlete in 1973. Manny made Belen history by scoring the first ever touchdown in 1971. He was class president every year in high school and student council president as a senior in 1973 and was voted Mr. Belen. His love of the law and politics and his formation at Belen made Manny into a true man for others. He worked as a lawyer from 1980 until he was elected mayor of the city of Miami in 2001 and served until 2009. In 2008, he was chosen to lead the United States Conference of Mayors as its president. Most recently, in 2022, Manny was named chairman of the Florida Democratic Party. In 2014, Manny wrote Miami Transformed, Rebuilding America, One Neighborhood, One City at a Time, a book outlining his efforts to renew Miami. Although well known for service in elected office, Manny's service to others extends much further. He firmly believes in being involved and is often involved in charitable works and in serving on boards. He has received almost 100 awards and recognitions for his work and leadership. Manny has always made time for his alma mater, whether it is attending reunions, sporting events, or being a guest speaker or mentor. In 2008, Manny was inducted into the Belen Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2012, he helped to organize the Belen versus Columbus baseball game at Marlins Park when it first opened. Always striving to inspire the next generation, Manny presented his book about service in the Miami community and answered questions from students in 2013. Manny is married to Robin Smith and has 4 children and 5 grandchildren. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Our final couple to be inducted this evening was very involved at Belen, and their generosity contributed to the growth of our campus on a number of occasions. Let's learn more about Raúl and Nidia Rodríguez.
Raúl and Nidia Rodríguez were born in Cuba and got married in 1976. Before meeting Nidia, Raúl was a Cuban Air Force pilot during World War II and bravely patrolled the coast from submarine threats. After his service, he entered the business world and traveled throughout Latin America, eventually establishing a chain of appliance and television stores called Corvette in Venezuela. In the mid-1960s, Raúl moved to Miami and embarked on a new chapter in his life. He invested in Lil Abner Mobile Home Park, which laid the groundwork for a thriving real estate empire. Nidia was 16 when her parents sent her to live in Miami. Forging her path, soon she moved to Nicaragua to work at a convent before returning to Miami in the 1970s. It wasn't long before Nidia and Raúl met, and their partnership grew in love, mutual respect, and shared values. Their son Raúl was born in 1978 into a loving, faith-filled home and is a proud member of the class of 1997. Always involved in their son's life, they became committed to supporting Belen. In 1999, their generosity led to the construction of the Science Building, which was named in their honor the Raúl and Nidia Rodríguez Science Pavilion. Their passion for helping others led Raúl to establish the Rey Foundation, which is dedicated to empowering children through education. Raúl served on the Belen Board of Advisors for many years, and they gave generously to the Financial Assistance Program. In 2010, Raúl passed away, leaving a legacy of inspiration and service to others, to his son and grandchildren. Nidia continued to support Belen by contributing to the construction of the Multimedia Center, where the Raúl and Nidia Rodríguez Control Room was named in their honor. Together, they contributed their time, resources, and unwavering support to the school, leaving an indelible mark on its legacy. Nidia passed away in 2023, having lived a life of generosity and dedication to others. They are inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Accepting this recognition for Raúl and Nidia is their son Raúl from the class of 1997. Our next inductee is a former president of the Alumni Association, a former student council president, and an outstanding senior of the year of the class of 1980. Let's learn more about Carlos Batlle.
Carlos Batlle was born in Santiago de Cuba on January 9, 1962, and moved to New York the following year. In 1974, Carlos and his family moved to Miami, and he started Belen Jesuit in 7th grade. As a student, Carlos was very involved. A skilled athlete, he was a swimmer and a runner, and won multiple accolades in his sports. Carlos was also active in spiritual and leadership roles at Belen, and served as student council president during his senior year. At his graduation in 1980, Carlos was named Outstanding Senior of the Year. From Belen, he went on to Georgetown University and then Columbia University School of Law. While at Columbia, Carlos served as president of the Latin American Law Students Association. He married Laura in 1994, and they have 2 daughters, Julia and Natalie, and a son, Blake, from the class of 2006, and 3 grandchildren. In 1987, he joined a prestigious law firm in Miami, where he worked for 23 years. Since 2010, Carlos has worked at J.P. Morgan's private bank as a managing director and is responsible for providing families in Florida with innovative wealth planning and transfer strategies. Ingrained with the values learned at Belen, Carlos has been very active in the community, professionally, philanthropically, and civically. From coaching youth sports to pro bono legal work to serving his alma mater, he exemplifies the Magus. As a proud alumnus, Carlos has served on the alumni board and was president from 2012 to 2016. As president, he was instrumental in introducing Catholic Relief Services to the Alumni Association and its involvement in the annual Helping Hands food packing event. He was also a Belen Board of Advisors member and is currently a board member emeritus. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
A titan in print media, this next inductee is responsible for having created El Nuevo Herald and never forgetting his roots. Let us learn more about the story of Roberto Suàrez from the class of 1946.
Roberto Jose Suàrez was born on March 5, 1928, in Havana, Cuba. He attended El Colegio de Belen, where he played on the basketball team and graduated in 1946. He came to the United States to attend college, studying finance at Villanova University. In 1950, Roberto married Miriam Campuzano. They had 12 children, 10 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. After working in finance and real estate, he shifted to newspapers and was the general manager of the Charlotte Observer in the 1970s. Roberto began his career in journalism in the mailroom of the Miami Herald. He moved up in the ranks and became president of the company and founder and publisher of El Nuevo Herald. He championed the newspaper in the community and is credited with helping it amass its credibility and circulation. Despite leading a busy professional life, he always made time to support his alma mater by speaking to students and being a mentor to young alums. He was also active in the community and received numerous civic and community service awards, including the United Way and the Charlotte Arts and Sciences Council. In 2008, Roberto was inducted into the Belen Sports Hall of Fame. Roberto retired from the Miami Herald in 1995 and passed away on July 7, 2010. He is posthumously inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
It's an honor to have Roberto's daughter, Ana Suàrez Fleming, here with us to accept the award this evening. Excuse me, Roberto's wife is here this evening to accept the award. Undoubtedly, our next inductee is an incredibly successful businessman. He is also a Jesuit-educated man who values the core principles of the Society of Jesus, so much so that he chronicled his journey of walking El Camino de Santiago. Let's take a moment to learn about Miguel B. Mike Fernández.
Miguel Mike B. Fernández was born in Manzanillo, Cuba, on July 24, 1952. After his family fled Castro's regime, he came to the United States as a 12-year-old. The family settled in New York, where Mike attended Xavier High School, an all-boys Jesuit high school in the heart of Manhattan. In subsequent years, he has been awarded a Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa by St. Thomas University and by Loyola University, Maryland. He also received an Associate in Science, honoris causa from Miami-Dade College. A pillar in the business world, Mike serves as chairman and CEO of MBF Healthcare Partners, a private investment firm located in Coral Gables, Florida. The firm focuses on investing in healthcare service companies nationwide. He has been the founder and/or majority shareholder of over 20 healthcare-related companies. His success in the boardroom and his Catholic roots have led to a very charitable way of life. Mike and his wife, Constance, are generous philanthropists and support many local and national organizations. Their generosity has exceeded $125 million in charitable contributions over the last 20 years. His kindness has included Belen Jesuit, where his sons Alex, 2000, and Michael, 2013, graduated from. The financial support that Mike and his family have given Belen over the years is a testament to the Jesuit values and principles that were instilled in him as a young man. A moment of profound impact was when Mike walked the 508-mile El Camino de Santiago in 2013. The pilgrimage took him on a spiritual journey from France to Spain, raising more than $5 million for families with limited resources and children in need of medical treatment. He has 5 children and 5 grandchildren, is an animal lover, an acclaimed author, and sits on the boards of several charities, universities, and hospitals. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame class of 2024.
Our final inductee of the night is a man who needs no introduction. He embodies what it means to be a man for others, and his presence at Belen for over 55 years has been instrumental in the lives of thousands of alumni and the faculty whom he worked with. Let's watch a video about the legendary Carlos Barquín.
Carlos Barquín was born in Sancti Spiritus, Cuba on June 14, 1948. He lived with his parents and 3 brothers until he was 13 years old. Once the Castro regime took over, Carlos was sent to the United States as part of Operation Pedro Pan. He arrived in Miami on September 12, 1962, with his younger brother and stayed at the Catholic Welfare Bureau. On August 15, 1969, Bark was hired as a physical education teacher, and the rest is history. Throughout his 55 years as an Ignatian educator, Bark has taught thousands of young men how to be men for others. From teaching to coaching to mentoring, he embodies what it means to be a man of faith, principle, and dedication. His greatest achievement, however, wasn't at Belen. It was at home, where he raised 2 daughters, Maida and Vanessa, and a son, Carlos, who graduated from Belen in 1990. He has 7 grandchildren, 1 who graduated from Belen in 2021, and 2 more currently at the school. Bark has been instrumental in growing the athletic department from 2 teams to 48. Under his leadership, Belen has had one of the top boys' athletic programs in the state, winning 32 state championships and 27 academic state championships. In 2007, he was inducted into Belen's Sport Hall of Fame. He is also the founder of the Belen Summer Camp, the driving force behind the development of all athletic facilities, and even the creator of a sport, barkball. But of all these accomplishments, it has been the character formation of men that has clearly defined him. His legacy will be spoken about for years, and his role at Belen's history is cemented as a true Bel legend. He is inducted into the Belen Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Congratulations to all of our inductees. Let's give them another round of applause, please. At this time, I'd like to welcome our Alumni Association President, Jose Pep Lopez Varela from the class of 1987 to the stage. And I will now hand the microphone back to Father Willie for a very, very special presentation.
So it has been 3 years since we began the tradition of rightfully recognizing the many men and women who, throughout the history of our school, have helped shape it into the place that it is today. As I mentioned before, the 170 years of Belen Jesuit have only been possible because of the powerful combination of God's extraordinary grace and the hard work and commitment of many individuals whose love for the school has helped put us on the map. Recognizing them with this honor is a very fitting tribute. But after the inductees' lives have been recognized, their lives flash before us on these screens, and after they've received their award, there's still one more important recognition that needs to be made. In 1961, after being exiled from Havana, Cuba, and sent away from Belen and his homeland, Father Juan Manuel Dortaduque made his way back to Miami and was given this monumental task. It was to rummage through the world, hoping to find our alumni who had been scattered everywhere. With no modern technology at his disposal and very little resources, he did just that and went on to found the Alumni Association of Jesuit Schools of Cuba in Miami. As a way of always keeping the alumni together and in touch with their alma mater, Father Dortaduque began a tradition to annually recognize one alumnus whose service to the school and the community at large not only deserved it, but demanded his alma mater's recognition. This evening, we are proud to continue Father Dortaduque's legacy. Now, similar to last year, the choice for the 2024 Alumnus of the Year was a no-brainer. While the pool of possible candidates is fortunately very well stocked, this year's winner clearly rose to the top. Now, I confess this alumnus was not necessarily on my radar when I first began my tenure 8 years ago as Belen's president. While I am a product of a Belen of the fairly peaceful and rock-laden 80s, he is the son of the tumultuous and disco-ridden 70s. And when he first attended Belen Jesuit, I gotta tell you, I was still desperately learning how to make my way out of my crib. My introduction to this year's Alumnus of the Year was one that I will definitely not forget. Now, he may not be aware of this, but that meeting was for me a lesson on how to be a president of a Jesuit school. As the chief fundraiser for the school and after helping define a vision for Belen Jesuit, we had plans to develop our athletic facilities. At the time, a series of very profitable business decisions had thrust our alumnus to the front pages of local newspapers, and his name and profession was brought to my attention. I admit the possibility of luring this guy excited me, and so I quickly rushed to meet with him and make a proposal. So I remember we met at the back room of La Carreta on Bird and 87th Avenue. And attending that lunch were two future Hall of Famers, Paco Ruiz and Carlos Barquín, and two current no-namers, Phil Fernández and yours truly. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. For that meeting, we didn't strategize, we didn't plan, we didn't even meet. This little ragtag foursome simply was convinced that because it was about Belen and its future, that it was going to be a done deal. So at the meeting got going, our Alumnus of the Year patiently listened to our disorganized pitch. I would speak, then Bark would ramble, then Paco would talk about cross country, of course. And Phil basically ate his bistec empanizado. Not 30 minutes went by when I began to notice our alumnus's impatience and, worst of all, his confusion. A little voice in my head began to tell me that it was time to abort the mission. Things were not going well. But finally, he stopped us. He asked a couple of questions and then very bluntly proceeded to tell us, guys, get yourselves together, make a plan, then come back and see me. And with that, the meeting was over. I remember walking out of the restaurant, heading for the car and turning to Phil and saying, this is one of the most embarrassing moments of my presidential life, and I've only been president for like 3 months. I told Phil, we will never be this poorly prepared again. That one experience, coupled with our alumnus' frankness, changed the course of how my office does things. I would venture to say that it has a lot to do with our subsequent success over the last 8 years. Even though our alumnus of the year has done extraordinary things for our alma mater, more than anything else, I am grateful to him for that experience. He's a proud graduate of the class of 1979. And like most of the men of that time, he was at Belen because of the commitment that his parents had to their son's education, the passion of the Jesuit priest who ran it, and the generosity of so many that made a Jesuit education possible. He roamed the hallways of that warehouse in Little Havana and sat in those rickety desks as teachers tried to impart an education on a group of Cuban immigrants. He played in the Dust Bowl where dirt served as grass, where football practices and games were played on foreign soil, and where cross-country runs were down the busy streets of La Sabuesera and all the way down to El Farito in Key Biscayne. Belen was raw, but it was his home and a place that changed his life forever. His commitment to Belen was so sincere that years later he entrusted the life and education of his own son Roberto from the class of 2004 to the school. He did so convinced that his son would take advantage of a solid Catholic Jesuit education. The lesson our alumnus learned at Belen, to be a man for others, is clear. So after regrouping and clarifying our plan, I went back to our alumnus with a clear and precise proposal. This time, without any hesitation, he shook my hand and said, "Count on me, I'm in." For that, I and Belen will be eternally grateful. In May, we will celebrate the end of a construction process that will give to our school a state-of-the-art athletic facility that will issue in a new era of education and athletics for thousands of future Belen students. For these and many other reasons, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to recognize the 2024 Alumnus of the Year from the class of 1979, Mr. Robert Suàrez.
So I've been asked by my family to keep this short because I tend to really speak. But Belen is a very special place for me. It holds a very special place in my heart. I never ran for mayor. I never changed anybody's eye. I have really nothing to compare to these gentlemen. And I congratulate all the members of the new, that were indicted today. What an amazing group of men. And like that, I can refer to anybody in this room. Really, any one of you should be standing up here. Belen for me was a trajectory that was the trajectory of my family. We came from Cuba, Belen came from Cuba. We all struggled. We used to play in the Dust Bowl, as Father explained. And for whatever reason, God was gracious and allowed Belen and allowed my family to grow and allowed all of your families to grow. We were, our number one blessing is that our parents took the effort and took the time to send us to a school like Belen, to teach us the Catholic upbringing and teach us how to work hard. Nothing is given to us. And basically give us the principles of loyalty and honor and respect. And Belen is a mirror of what the Cuban community is here in Miami, graduating such spectacular men that are, examples for the country, not just Miami, to follow. I'm so proud to be a Belen grad, and honestly, my entire life and a big part of my life was Belen. Obviously, our families, all of your families, were probably number one. Belen was number two. And there were so many people there, from the priests that dedicate their lives to teaching us how to live life and the important things of life. And it's not about money. It's not about any of those things. Most things that bring happiness really have nothing to do with money. It's the ability of giving back, the ability of helping your fellow man, the ability of creating jobs, the ability of doing things that make life better for everybody. And that's what Belen teaches, men for others. And, we've come a long way. Our campus today is a state-of-the-art campus. I was, Father didn't know, but when I was in that meeting, I was going to give him the money anyway. And I can tell you another thing, it's definitely the most expensive award I've ever won. I can tell you that. But having said that, and by the way, Paco, half of that trophy is mine because it's a long story. Paco was actually the guy that recruited me to do a 6,000 square foot facility that grew to a 60,000 square foot facility. But to be quite honest, I was one of the ones that encouraged them to go, hey, you want to do the track team and the cross country team? Of course. I said, what about football? What about all these other teams? So it grew, and it is what it is today. I think you're all going to be very pleased with what we've done there. And sports is a very, very important part of a man's development. Sports teaches you things that you can't learn at a classroom. It teaches you about fighting for each other. It teaches you about being organized and committed and focused, and challenges that, sometimes are overwhelming, and you just find a way to get past it. And so for Belen, I know it's very important to have a robust sports program. And for me in particular, I played football and ran track at Belen. It taught me invaluable lessons in my life. And so for me to be able to do this is an honor. Thank you all very much. Bark, I want to add one thing. First of all, Father Willie, he's our leader, he's been amazing. Belen, today, my fear is that a lot of the older alumni went through a lot of sacrifice and a lot of pain to get Belen where it is. And today, it's a state-of-the-art facility, and we have all these young men coming. And I hope all of you and you, Father, and your staff and your team continue to follow the same examples that you were for our generation. And I know Father Willie's heart, and it's all about what's in your heart. And it's what in all of you's hearts. What's one thing as a Belen grad you get, your heart grows, and it just is open to everybody. And so I'm very proud of Father Willie, leading and being our leader, and it's amazing the job you're doing, and the young men that are coming out. Bark, I hadn't seen you. I thought you weren't around, but you're not that easy to see because that man right there, that's the Belen institution. He was. I don't think there's anybody in this room who that man has not influenced their life. Talk about leadership and example and overcoming struggles and humbleness. Barquín. Thank you very much. Go Wolverines.
It's been an incredible night. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Again, we want to acknowledge our sponsors, Regis HR and Regis RO, JP Morgan Private Bank, CGI, Momentum Consulting, the Rainey Foundation, and of course, Manny Díaz for helping make this event possible. Thank you all. I would also like to thank those members of the nominating and selection committees who are here with us tonight. Could you please stand to be recognized? The nominating and selection committees, please stand. Your work has made this evening possible. I'd like to also recognize the work of the advancement team at Belen Jesuit, who also helped to organize this amazing event under the leadership of Phil Fernández. And this is the work of Rebecca Lowell and that team. That concludes tonight's ceremony. Thank you and have a great evening, and go Wolverines.